And now it's my great pleasure to continue on with our second partnership showcase on the Hope Truck, which will be moderated by Marilyn Nelson, Director of Communications and Indigenous Relations for West Moberly Metalwork. So it's my great pleasure to actually invite Elizabeth Ross, the Communications Advisor of Conuma Resources, to the stage to provide opening remarks for our panel this afternoon. So please join me in welcoming Elizabeth.
Just get my short girl here thing on. For any of you following your program, I'm not Steve. If anybody knows Steve, you really know I'm not Steve. Unfortunately, Steve could not be here today, so I was asked to step in. So I am very pleased to be here. Excuse me, sorry. So today we're sharing with you the Hope Truck Initiative, a project that demonstrates what's possible when communities, industry, and Indigenous partners come together with a shared vision. What started as a conversation between Industrial, Metalwork, and Conuma Resources quickly grew into something much bigger than a fundraising campaign. It became a symbol of partnership, reconciliation, and the power of working together to create a lasting impact. Over 6 months, the Hope Truck, which was I thought there would be pictures, sorry, a Cat 793 haul truck box that was painted orange, operated on Conuma's Quintet mine site. The orange box became a moving reminder of what can be achieved through collective effort. Indigenous leadership, communities, businesses, and industry partners from across the region rallied behind this initiative, each contributing to the shared goal. The Hope Truck brought together 4 participating communities: West Moberly First Nations, Saulteaux First Nations, the District of Chetwynd, and the District of Tumbler Ridge, most of which are represented on the panel here today. Thank you for being here. Yes, definitely. Through sponsorships that were tied directly to the truck's hauls, organizations stepped up to sponsor the fundraiser and the vision. And you will hear from a few of our very generous sponsors today, and they also deserve a hand, please. Thank you. By the end of the 6-month campaign, the Hope Truck completed 9,285 hauls, raising over $151,000 to support youth, cultural, and reconciliation activities within the 4 communities. But the true success of the Hope Truck cannot be measured by dollars alone. Its greatest achievement is the collaboration it inspired, the relationships that were strengthened, the conversations started, and the shared commitment in building a stronger future together. The first Hope Truck initiative concluded with a celebration hosted by Saulteaux First Nations, bringing together community members, sponsors, industry representatives, and leaders to recognize what had been accomplished. Through cultural performances, stories, and reflection, the event highlighted the spirit of the partnership that made the Hope Truck a success. In the panel today, we'll explore how the Hope Truck came to life, what it means to the communities involved, why organizations chose to support it, and how collaborations like this can continue to create positive change in the years ahead. To guide today's conversation, we welcome Marilyn Nelson from Industrial Metalwork, whose fierce passion and unwavering commitment were the catalyst behind the Hope Truck initiative. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending this. It means the world to us, and me especially. But first, I want to thank Elizabeth for that introduction and for the incredible partnership and support that she's provided for the Hope Truck. I just want to give her a round of applause. My name is Marilyn Nelson. I'm the Director of Communications and Indigenous Relations for West Moberly Industrial Metalwork. I also had the privilege of helping to coordinate the Hope Truck initiative alongside our partners and communities. I'm incredibly thankful to be here today. Conferences like this give the opportunity to share stories of success, share stories of struggle, share stories of things that are meaningful, things that mean something, and things that we can bring together and have these great conversations. Before we begin, I'd like our panelists to introduce themselves, and we'll start with Lisa Risvold.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here and to share with my colleagues and friends how we've worked together on the Hope Truck initiative. It's just one example of how we do work together on a regular and ongoing basis. I'm Lisa Risvold, and I'm the Vice President of Indigenous Communities and Land Strategy with Conuma Resources. I've worked in the steelmaking, coal mining industry for close to 20 years and have worked with Indigenous nations and small resource-based, rural resource-based development communities for over 30 years. Conuma has two operating steelmaking coal mines in Northeast BC, and we're working towards restarting a third mine, the Trenroman mine. At Conuma, we understand the privilege and responsibility of operating in Treaty 8, and that is a responsibility and privilege we take seriously each and every day. Our success is truly through our partnerships with West Moberly First Nations, Saulteaux First Nations, McLeod Lake Indian Band, and the districts of Tumbler Ridge, Chetwynd, and Mackenzie, and our commercial partners. It's been nice to be here today and hear about and learn about all of the real-world examples of how nations and governments and industry continue to work together.
Thank you, Lisa. We'll jump to Chief Willson.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chief Willson. My Daniza name is Daniza Machion Krakowka, means keeper of Daniza things. My Cree given name is Conway Shivio, also means keeper of Cree things. I've been chief for the West Moberly First Nations now for 26 years, elected, 3-year term. I've been honored to have that position. I think we have one of the most forward-thinking nations in the province, if not in Canada. We do a lot of things and have an awesome council that I work with, and a very tight-knit community. We're located in northeastern BC's Treaty 8 territory, right in the heart of pretty much everything that's going on for BC: wind, solar, oil and gas, forestry, mining, hydroelectric, wind. Like it's all there, and we're in the middle of it, and we're doing what we can to be a part of what's happening, and also protecting our way of life and ensuring that our values carry on to the next generation. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting us. Looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you very much. Mayor Krakowka. Oh my goodness.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Krakowka.
There you go.
My goodness.
Thanks, Marilyn. It's my honor to be here. Again, appreciate being up here with friends, acquaintances, and family. I'm Mayor Krakowka from the district of Tumbler Ridge. I've been elected for just about 12 years, 8 years as a councillor, and the last 4 years as the mayor. And to be part of this Hope Truck, and obviously I can't wait to get into it, it was an honor to be invited by the chief of West Moberly and Saulteaux as a non-Indigenous community within Treaty 8. And to me, it shows the trust we've built and the friendship you build. Non-transactional. I think that was the biggest thing when I became elected as the mayor, was to really reach out to our First Nations and start building those friendships and the bonds, and not about being transactional. And I think that's come a long ways. And I know when the chiefs called and asked if I'd be part of a Hope Truck, that that they started to explain to me, and I think this is true reconciliation. When you start to hear how it comes out today, it is amazing for non-Indigenous and Indigenous youth and children. To me, that's where this money will be going for different initiatives, and it's so forefronted. I'm just excited to actually, and honored to be part of the Hope Truck. Marilyn's idea, and obviously working with Conuma Resources and Finning, getting those industrial partners together, they've come a long ways, but honored to be here. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. We'll switch to Derek Funk.
Hi, everyone. Derek Funk, Indigenous Business Development Manager for BC and the Yukon. I'm part of a team, an internal team that Finning is created within the last 5 years that works around our territory, from Saskatchewan to BC to the Yukon, Northwest Territories, that works on initiatives like this. Really proud of our team. We're changing the culture within Finning positively, and really proud to be part of this initiative and looking forward to the conversation today.
Thank you so much. All right, so we have some questions kind of prepared prior to, and if we have a chance, we will get to these ones right here. But first, we'll start with Chief Willson. From your perspective, what made the Hope Truck different from a typical sponsorship or fundraising initiative?
Okay. Did a lot of soul searching on this question. The Hope Truck is, I might swear a little bit here, so just if you're not comfortable with that, I apologize. In a world that seems to be going to shit in a handbasket, I did swear. That was the swear word. We have a narcissistic psychopath south of us that's playing God right now. We have stuff that has not ever been public. Like we've got a leader of the Conservative Party that's a blatant racist, and supporters of that. We have an independent MLA running around trying to dig up burial sites to prove that there's nobody buried in there, but yet there's 10,000 children missing in Canada. This stuff is happening. And in our neck of the woods, we're working. We're having the conversations and the discussions. We have fires, we're being evacuated. The hospital gets shut down, goes on diversion. So all this stuff affects all of us that live there. We all have to work together, and we're not going anywhere, and they're not going anywhere. So we got to stand there and snarl at each other, or we're going to try and be friends and make things happen. When Marilyn brought this to our attention, it was just like, well, that's an awesome idea. How do we make this thing happen? And it was like, who can we bring on board? And our first calls was to Mayor Darryl and the Mayor of Chetwynd and the local First Nations, our neighbor right next door to us, Solo First Nations in McLeod Lake. And everybody kind of piled on board and started doing what they could. And next thing you know, here we are sitting on stage talking about this. It's all about, let's leave that rest of that stuff alone and just work on ourselves and make things happen. This is for the kids, the betterment of our communities, all of our communities, and we need to support each other. And if everything else is going crazy, our little part of the world's, we're doing our own crazy up there. So, that makes sense? Okay.
Absolutely. It definitely does. My next question is to Lisa from Conuma. When the initial conversations around the Hope Truck started between Conuma and Industrial Metalwork, what stood out to you about the idea?
Thanks, Marilyn. What stood out to Conuma was that it was partnership focused and based, and it wasn't being driven by the mining industry. I'll note when it first came forward, it was shared with our mine operations and our maintenance leadership team, so it came in through the operating side of the business, and it was an easy yes. So that speaks to the power of the initiative and its value, that your operators said yes. And I'll just note that enthusiasm was embraced by the entire team at Quintet. And as an example, one of the drivers who drove the Hope truck, she shared when she was hauling loads for the Hope truck, she didn't take bathroom breaks to make sure she could get as many loads as possible and then contribute to the overall funds raised. And the maintenance team was also very focused with Finning on keeping the truck's productivity high. So what really stood out to me is that it was our operations and maintenance teams that just so enthusiastically said yes to this amazing partnership. The second thing is that it was really the first time that Conuma had an opportunity to work collectively with Saulteaux First Nations, West Moberly First Nations, and the districts of Tumbler Ridge and Chetwynd. Up until that point, we were working a lot one-on-one, but to come together and have that opportunity to work collectively was very meaningful. And when we first had the kickoff session to formally kick off the Hope Truck at the Quintet Mine, it was very meaningful to have the chiefs, the councils, mayors, and council members, as well as corporations and many small businesses there to formally acknowledge the partnership and its promise.
Thank you so much, Lisa. My next question is for Mayor Krakowka. When community organizations and municipalities are approached with initiatives like this, what made you feel this one was worth supporting?
Yeah, thanks, Marilyn. I think Lisa hit it. It was 4 communities that came together and worked as one with industry, and with the outlook that this was going to be to support our youth in my community of Tumbler Ridge, the youth and children in the community of Chetwynd, and as well as Saulteaux and West Moberly. And from our side, it was, we come with an idea of what that would look like, but with some Indigenous culture concept. So we really take it in Tumbler Ridge that we want to make sure that as we spend these dollars that are raised with the Hope Truck, that it has the Indigenous culture, and it's so important. But I think Lisa answered that. It brought 4 communities together, working with all the industry partners within the area, and then had huge support from other industry as well as other retail outlets that were sponsoring per load, and I think that's so huge. Like Chief Willson says, we all live in the same area. We're all Treaty 8 members, and we all deal with it. Fires, floods, no roads, hospital closures, but we're all there for each other. So I think that's the big thing with this one.
Thank you so much. Next, we're going to Derek. Why is it important for industry to invest in programs that promote education, cultural understanding, and community connection?
Yeah, that's so part of my job is a really big part of that, like working with the nations and industry on that piece. As soon as it came across the desk, Alvera told me about what happened or what's going on with the Hope Truck. It was a no-brainer. We wanted to be a meaningful partner in that positive impact. So it's important to us in an industry to really understand the communities that we operate on. What's important to the communities, what's important to the nations, and I think this was a big piece of it. There was another personal thing for me that I take into my work, and it come from me years ago. I was mushroom picking with an elder in Algacho. I don't know if anybody knows where Algacho is. West Williams Lake is lots of mosquitoes, and it's an interesting place. I love it out there. This elder, Eddie Sill, we were picking mushrooms, and he was showing me medicine off the pine trees and what to use. And he told me, he said, Derek, medicine isn't always something that you eat. It's something that you can give, being on the land, sharing, helping, caring. And for me, the Hope Truck is good medicine.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Derek. My next question is for Chief Willson. What does it mean to see funds from the Hope Truck going directly back into communities for youth, culture, and reconciliation initiatives?
All right. It's I don't know if people understand how First Nations government works. We get money from the federal government. We're a federal organization, basically government officials. And it's based on a per capita. And if you take government money, you have to account for the government money on how they want you to spend it. When we bring in money like this, we're able to set up the programs that we want and need in our communities and support. I'm not speaking for how Tumbler Ridge or Chetwynd have to do it. They have to be accountable as well. But for us, it gives us the freedom to do what we need to do and want to do for our children. So, and we're accountable to each other on this, right? So we come together and say, this is what we're going to use our money for. Our vision that we did was we ran a food program for the youth. We taught the youth how to take care of themselves, cook food, what the food meant, and bring in the traditional value of what feeding yourself is and supporting your families and stuff like that, and having them so that they can become self-sufficient themselves, right? Parents work, things happen, they have to come home and maybe make a snack for their siblings, you know, and to show them that and give them the confidence to be able to know that they're ingesting and they're eating good food and what that food means and how that food comes to them and stuff like that. And, you know, that was our way of doing it, knowing that our youth are going to be able to take care of themselves and feed themselves. And none of them are going to have to go without lunch.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chief Willson. And we actually are hoping to have that youth program for our next celebration in April 2027 after Hope Truck 2026 concludes, as the students will be hopefully cooking the appetizers for that event. So that is the hope there. And then some of the other programs will also be involved in that event too that were curated from it. My next question is for Mayor Krakowka. One thing I think is unique about the Hope Truck is that it connects multiple communities instead of focusing on just one. Why is that important?
Yeah, I think we've seen that. Again, Lisa had mentioned that, how, you know, the industry would work with each community, whether that was Indigenous or non-Indigenous. So they'd work with West Moberly on things, and Soto and McLeod Lake Indian Band, as well as Chetwynd and then Tumbler Ridge, but separately. To me, this brings us all together, and you know, again, it's so important we do it as members of Tumbler Ridge, and Soto and West Moberly do the same thing. We're always trying to connect and build those friendships, build those trusts, non-transactional, and I think this really assists not just with the Indigenous communities, but even the communities within our area, within the Peace Regional District. You know, Chetwynd and Hudson Hope and stuff, we don't always engage in the same way. You come to conferences and you network, but it's not the same way. So I think that's where it's important. It's not just one, and again, it was a privilege to have Chief Willson reach out to me and ask if I would be, you know, if I'm interested in this, and this is what it looks like, and this is what we're thinking. And I mean, I jumped in with both feet. I didn't even talk to council. I didn't even talk to the city staff. Yep, I'm in. I don't know what the community is, but I'm there with you because I think this is great. Again, to me, this is true reconciliation. You know, one, you know, obviously with Finning, willing to paint the truck orange. We had the logo on it. Marilyn and the people that have helped her have done such a great job, and hats, and we got pins and stuff, and it's so important. You hear it in our communities. You hear our children and our youth talk about it, but also the adults are starting to realize what the Hope Truck actually meant last year when it was first initiated, and we had the groundbreaking out at Quintet, like Lisa said, and lots of councillors out there, and mayors and chiefs and councils, but also staff from Finning and staff from Conuma Resources, staff from IMW. That brought all the communities together. So I think it's really important how we see this and how it's worked. It's not each industry company working with individual communities, and I think this brings us all together, and it's a forefront. Everybody knows what we need. There's something we need or that. We're already talking about what we're doing anyways, and it's already at the table. It's a different scope of it.
Thank you so much, Mayor Darryl. Next, Derek. Finning came on as a platinum sponsor of the Hope Truck. From your perspective, why was it important for Finning to support this initiative?
Like I said earlier, we're really working hard on changing the culture internally. You know, we have our Indigenous business development team, which I'm so proud of, and it's just it's just the right thing to do, supporting reconciliation and creating opportunities for youth is just a part of business that we do. It's important to us. It's part of our values. So, there's a couple pieces to this. We've been in the community for a long time. There's a long-standing relationship in the region. We have a team that lives in the region, that works for Finning, that's been working at the mines for years and years, and supporting other, groups, logging, all kinds of industries. So the other piece that was really exciting, and maybe this is just the Finning outside of me, is that we're putting an orange, body on a big cat yellow truck that we rebuilt, and I just thought that was amazing. I thought that was really, really cool initiative. So I think, that being said, we would have supported it even if it was on a Komatsu, I guess.
Really?
It probably wouldn't look as good, but whatever. But it's just, that's, like I said, that's something we would do. It was just the right thing to do.
Thank you. And a follow-up question for you, Derek. A lot of companies talk about reconciliation and community investment. What made the Hope Truck feel like something tangible that your team wanted to be a part of?
I didn't know you were getting
Putting
back to
him
me
on the
right away.
spot.
Wow, I was reading those questions down there. Can you ask that one more time?
Yeah, of course. What made the Hope Truck feel like something tangible that your team wanted to be a part of?
The Hope Truck proved that something important when different partners, discover that they have the same values, like everybody from industry to communities to suppliers having those same values, and really these communities support your business, so you need to find a way to support back. I really believe that. So I think that, once again, it was just the right thing to do, and just such an amazing initiative. I'm like I said, I'm so proud and happy to be part of it. I actually think there should be a Hope Truck on every mine in Canada. I really do.
That's the goal. Next question is to Lisa. What does it say about the region when competitors, contractors, suppliers, communities, nations, and industry can all come together around one initiative?
Treaty 8 and Northeast BC is just so abundant in every way imaginable, and we know that, those that live and spend a lot of time in Treaty 8 and Northeast BC, and it's not surprising that we all did come together under one initiative. We're connected, we're strong, and we're collectively committed to creating opportunities for youth today and into the future. And this is just a single example, although a very powerful one, of the power of focusing on common ground and taking action to create real and lasting benefits. And it really is the essence of sustainability, where we're working together to focus resources today that will protect and create opportunities for future generations. So it says a lot about the region. It says a lot about those sitting on the stage and the folks that they work with and represent on a day-to-day basis. And I also just want to note that initiatives like this are only possible when you have incredibly strong champions like Marilyn and Elizabeth, who our team will figure it out, and they figure everything out. And it's just an honor when we collectively can support the vision of two incredibly strong champions that want the best for the youth in our region.
Thank you so much. We're definitely lucky to have companies support us to be able to take something and run with it and have the ability and the capabilities to create something that really is meaningful, especially when you're in positions like this. So thank you, Lisa. My next question is for Chief Willson. In your opinion, what makes a strong industry partnership today?
Thank you. I think it's the ability to have the tough talks. And, you know, us in Conuma, we banged our heads lots, and we're going to probably bang our heads in the future and stuff. But it's the ability to sit down and have those discussions and talk about it and not make it a personal thing, but, you know, explain what's going on and what's happening. You know, our partners that we have that came on board with this, the way it all came together it was like, I don't know, it was like lightning hitting. It made sense to everybody, and everybody climbed on board. Finning was there. You know, the mayors of Chetwynd and Mayor Darryl from Tumbler Ridge immediately got on board, so jumped on board. IWS, our partner, come up with the idea, like, just got this phone call, said, what do you think about this idea? I'm like, how the hell did you come up? That's awesome. How did you do that? Let's do this thing. And it all came together, right? But you have to have those discussions to get you there. And I believe that's what reconciliation is about, is having those talks, those discussions, you know, and getting to that stage where you're open, your relationships to that stage, and you can come to them and ask them, what do you think of this idea? Is this a good idea? You know, and hopefully it's a good idea, or they have they feel comfortable enough saying, no, that's not going to work. You know, this is, we need to do something like this instead, and sit down and be in that space and honor that space there, you know, and understanding that this is for the future of the future generations of the children, you know, not about what's going on anywhere else.
Thank you, Chief Willson. And Lisa, I'm actually going to put it back to you. I think this ties in well. Why was it important that this initiative involved communities directly rather than being solely led by industry?
Industry, I mean, we're a guest. We're a guest in Treaty 8. We're a guest in the host communities. And it's the nations and the communities that do define and drive goals and aspirations. So this was only successful because it was driven by the nations and communities, and that Conuma offered support how we could. I would note that it is a wonderful synergy because it couples the heart and soul of those who are fully invested in their nation and their community with the quiet and steadfast action and oriented focus of industry. And when you have the opportunity to work on a partnership, a collaboration like this, it truly is magical. As a mining company, we're committed to co-creating long-term value. We strive to listen to Indigenous nations and communities and embrace opportunities such as this that does create the lasting impact. And I would say at Conuma, we're very cognizant that we cannot take on the role, the view that our goal is to help others, like let us help you mindset, that it is a partnership, and we do need in every instance to take the lead from Chief Willson, Chief Paquette, Chief Chinji, Mayor Krakowka, and Mayor Coutre. And finally, I would just note, like as everyone else shared, for that Hope Truck to have, for this initiative to have immediate support and such success, there was already trust, and there was a track record and a commitment by all that we are going to collaborate and be partner for decades. There's decades of coal resource and reserve in the ground, and we absolutely want to have that continued opportunity to operate. And naturally, the nations and communities will also, they'll far outlast Conuma.
Thank you, Lisa. And another piece to that is exactly what she had said, but creating a sustainable initiative, not something that's just a one-time thing, 1 year. We want to do it year after year, expand. Actually, 2026 will be switching from Quintet to the Willow Creek Mine, so we're looking forward to that. And then our final question is for Mayor Krakowka. What do you hope this initiative looks like in 5 years from now?
Right, I only got 4 minutes. So I said I was going to go on a tangent earlier, but I won't.
That's why I saved you for
I was going
last.
to take up all the time there earlier, but in 5 years, the Hope Truck's still going to be at Tumbler Ridge. We have two champions, Elizabeth and Marilyn. You know, what they've done with an idea and working together and then inviting in Chief Willson and Chief Willson reaching out, and then obviously with Finning and Conuma Resources as a whole and IMW, it's going nowhere from Tumbler Ridge. What do I want to see? I want to see an orange logging truck. I want to see it, and you mentioned it. Why can't every mine have an orange truck bed on it, doing the same initiative? This is actually action. This isn't just us up here, or myself, can't speak for the rest. You know, this is reconciliation. It's true action, what you see happening in Tumbler Ridge, the Chatwin, West Moberly, and Soto First Nations, as well as the industry of the mining and finning. It's true action and reconciliation. They come up. I can't remember what the celebration is in 2026. I think it's going to be in 2020.
April 2027.
April of 2027, it's open. Like, come up and see the action. You know, there were some pictures there. We had dancers from Soto there. Chief Willson was making a speech and stuff like that. That's how important this is. It's actually action. But there's no reason why mills can't be doing it, other mining communities. Any industry can do this with their Indigenous nations, as well as the communities, bringing them together and showing them action. This is true action led by two strong individuals. And that's Marilyn and Elizabeth. They, you know, to me, they drove it. I mean, they helped us, they guided us. And then obviously having Conuma Resources on board and Finning and other industry partners that came forward. But Hope Truck in the north will not leave. I think it's going to get bigger. I don't think, you know, I can't say better, but I mean, Elizabeth and Marilyn do an amazing job. But I think it'll be there, and I think we can just explore it in a broader way. Whether that's involving more communities. I know Chief Willson had mentioned that McLeod Lake Indian Band was also reached out to with this initiative. Capacity at sometimes within the nations, it's tough. But there's other communities that can be involved as well, and I think this only gets bigger and bigger in Tumbler Ridge and the Chatwin and our First Nation areas for the Hope Truck, and it's a benefit for our children and our youth. You know, it's all, like, everything we're doing is engaged for our children and youth, and Chief Willson mentioned about West Moberly. Our initiatives is Indigenous language on trailheads, so with youth help. And then what we're looking at doing is having our youth and children go to West Moberly and Soto First Nation and actually interview elders and other First Nations and make a video about it. And I hope that's the first one we do, because I think that's something that the Hope Truck will be able to use, but also our communities will be able to use and show the engagement and the learning that our community has done with the First Nations. And I think that's so important.
Amazing, thank you so much. And thank you to all of our partners, communities, sponsors, and everyone who helped support the Hope Truck. If you are interested in becoming the Hope Truck 2026, it is set to start hauling on September 30th. And if you're looking for more information about the programs that were highlighted here, it's actually all on the hopetruck.ca. So everything is explained on there, all of the contact information, all of the programs that each of the communities have decided to curate with the funds. And then moving into 2026, there'll be new initiatives and new things created. So if you wanted to talk to any of us at any point after this, please do. We're happy to talk a bit about it. We're obviously very passionate. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much to all our panelists for sharing that powerful story of the Hope Truck. It really is an incredible story, and we're so grateful that you traveled to Nanaimo to share it with us. On behalf of the 10th Resource Indigenous Opportunities Conference, we do have a small speaker gift for you. While they are taking their photo, I will let everyone know that we're now going to take a nice break. We'll be coming back here at 3 p.m. for our next panel on energy pathways led by Indigenous voices. I encourage you to visit the trade show and our exhibitors, network amongst yourselves, and be back here promptly for 3. Thank you.